Well, good morning, West Ham fans. Let's talk about the David Moyes press conference ahead of the Wolves game on Sunday. Yes, everybody, Russ on the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. An early Hammers headline today because, as always, when we play on the Thursday, the Friday press conference is really early, so that's why it's an early one today. So Hammers headlines in association with the KUMB.com boys. So David Moyes spoke to the press ahead of the game on Sunday, obviously having played yesterday as well. So that was the main focus, in all honesty. As always with these sort of early morning press conferences, we don't get much team news because the team hasn't turned up yet from the night before. So, there's a couple of question marks, I think. And he talks about squad rotation as well, and maybe a need to rotate for Sunday potentially. But let's get into it and talk about Moisey and talk about the press conference. So he was asked about where is it? There it is. He was asked about last night. Obviously, a fantastic night, and he said, it's terrific for the club and the players. It gives us a little breather in February as well. We've had the playoff games. It's the third year in a row that we've topped the group, so we're really pleased. When you're successful, you find there's very little time. We want to be successful, but any time we can find some time, we'll take it. I know what he means, but it's just the way he said it. He's totally right. Obviously, yesterday's game for me was more important than Sunday in the grand scheme of things because from a football perspective, obviously he's getting into the last 16 and that progresses us and, in terms of our coefficient scores and stuff like that as well. But also in terms of financially as well, because, we get, I was talking to Sean about it. I think we get 1.1 million euros for winning the group. And then we automatically get another 1.2 million euros for the last 16 because we're in there. So that's it's over 2 million euros for one game. Whereas, it could be that 3 points against Wolves on Sunday might put us up a place or two by the end of the year, which is about £500,000 in it. So, it's sort of how it works out. But also, as Moyes says, it does mean we can, and I'm going to do a show at lunchtime in terms of the player ratings, but the whole idea is taking a back seat. Europe can take a back seat until March. We could have won the Carabao Cup by then. Hashtag just saying. So I know what he's trying to say, but it's just the way he said it. It's a bit like a tongue twister. In terms of talking about one of the main standout performances and, precursor to my players' ratings, my man of the match was Edson Alvarez. I thought he was phenomenal considering where he's been in terms of illness in the last few days. And he said, I think he's made a big impression very quickly. He's helped us to get some big results. He's settled in quickly. I still think he's getting used to the Premier League intensity, the number of games, and players from abroad, for example, aren't always used to playing at this time of the year. But he's doing very well and settled in well. For me, he's critical to have in the side. When he's not playing, our midfield looks so weak. It doesn't work with double pivot with Suchek and JWP. Alvarez gives you that. I mean, to be honest, Alvarez pretty much plays as a third centre back for most of that game, and he usually does. And that just gives that extra bit of solidity in the midfield. But, in terms of carrying the ball, scored his first goal for the club yesterday. Fantastic team move, little 1-2 with Jared and a lovely finish. So, it's in his locker. He is in his locker, but I think he's more for the team. He's better suited to that CDM role, just protecting that back four, and another clean sheet, and another win for Captain Fabianski. I think he's got 100% record this year, being captain. Anyway, attention has to quickly turn to Wolves. Team news, not much for Moyes to talk about, really. He said we need to wait and see. Edson got a knock on his hip, so we need to see how he is, but we need to assess the players when we see him later today. So if there's any sort of issues, I'm sure that will come out in the dirt sheets, in the newspapers, and in the on Twitter about who isn't going to be available for Sunday. I mean, that's the only one for me is Alvarez. Obviously, he went off injured, or he went off and he had a knock on his hip. if it was that bad, he wouldn't have walked on the pitch afterwards, and he was, clapping the fans. If it was that bad, he would be down the tunnel having, getting iced on it, but he wasn't. And actually, I was surprised. I thought he got the knock in the first half, and I thought he was going to come out for the second half, but they did. And then I thought within like a couple of minutes, he sort of stopped. I thought, well, that's it. He's done there. He was going to give himself 10 minutes and see how it works, but it didn't, and he carried on. Fair play. Everyone else seemed to be all right. Obviously, the City's bug seems to have curtailed now. Hopefully, particularly with the performances of Edson and Emerson as well, and even Pablo coming on for the last half an hour or so. And it gave us opportunity to rest. And Bowen, Kudus, Paqueta all came off earlier, which was great for us in terms for Wolves. Now, obviously, it's a very quick turnaround, but that's what you get in Europe. He was asked a question about squad rotation, and this is what he said. This is I think this is quite interesting in terms of how he said it. He said, "I don't think there's enough time between games, but does that mean I'm going to rotate loads? I don't know yet. It depends on how the players are doing, their energy levels, and how we feel the lads are doing in the games. This time of year comes with a heavy workload for all teams, and all teams, particularly if you're successful teams. I mean, the fact is, yes, we don't play Europe until March, but we do have another 2-game week next week because we've got the quarterfinals of the Carabao Cup with Liverpool, and then we've got Man United at London Stadium on the Saturday on the Saturday. So being successful does mean you do play more games. But I think maybe the lack of rotation, particularly in that first year was in Europe. Do you remember we literally the players were like on their knees by the end of the season. We do have a big enough squad, but when the squad is rotated, those guys coming in need to be playing. They need to play well, and I don't think they have. I don't think squad rotations work particularly well. People say it might be a lack of motivation, things like that. But then again, these guys are professional players. They've got professional integrity. The likes of Ben Rama, Fornals, they've got 200-300 games under their belts at least. And so not only that, but they want to be put in a good life. They want to maybe move on in January or whatnot. So I don't expect to see too much rotation. So you zoom back in. I think Ariola's back in. That's what I think for my predicted 11. And based on Alvarez, if Alvarez is okay, then I think it's pretty much the rest will be the same we played yesterday. I think it's working. Maybe even could there even be a little cheeky sub appearance for Mikel Antonio? Could be. You don't know. I don't know. Asked about Wolves and asked about Gary O'Neill specifically. He said, Gary's done a great job and did a good job at Bournemouth as well. Young coaches need these opportunities, and I think he's doing a really good job. He's got Wolves looking really steady, but we've got our job to do. And asked about Wolves specifically, he said, Wolves have always been a good side, good teams, with good players. Have had some very experienced managers, but I also think Gary has come in and done a good job. There are obviously differences, but they are doing well, and they are doing well. They're a solid side at the moment. Obviously, on Sunday is the return of Ballon Dawson. I'll give him a clap. Fantastic servant for us. Wolves at the moment, according to the injuries, could have up to, well, they won't. I think they'll have 4 Otto's been ruled out until February with some sort of injury. Don't know what it is. Joseph Hodge is out of a shoulder injury until the end of the month. Neto, the goalkeeper, is probably back probably for next week. He's a 50-50 rated. Our Nori, he's going to have a late fitness test, I think, by all accounts, for Sunday. So he should be back, I reckon. And Mario Lamela, he should be back from his tight hamstring. So they should have at least 2 out, if not 3 out. We've already injury concern at the moment. It's obviously Edson Alvarez and also Mikel Antonio. And that's it. Go and check out the neesambrand.com, boys. We've got loads of stuff coming out today. We'll have Irish Tommy tonight doing the late show. We'll have the afternoon show, lunchtime live, doing the players' ratings. Please join us for that. And then we start all the match day program all the stuff ahead of the Wolves game, the stat attack, predicted 11s, hopefully opposition fan, chat, match day morning, all that type of things. And until next time, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, my bloody friends, and come on, you bloody irons, top of the league and having a laugh.